What's up, it's me, Jonas. And test firing a rifle is always because you've worked on the action. I would suggest you get a headspace gauge before you do that. I mean, if you, it's pertinent. It behooves of everyone to get a headspace gauge for that rifle that they're working on. But it's always for function. There's no targets involved, etc. With it just, I mean, whether you're in a test fire drum with some sand in the bottom of it, or if you're in a clearing barrel, some call it, or even if you're, well, in most cases you're going to utilize only a couple rounds for this test fire. However, if you're trying to replicate a malfunction, you're going to use a few more. It might take you a little bit longer to get your headspace gauge, but it does behoove everyone to go ahead and get a headspace gauge. My personal experience making one safe to fire not too long ago, I bought a Tika 270 from a person. It was secondhand, and the rifle I bought from before that had some major headspace problems. So wasn't even messing with this one. Put it right on a fold-out aluminum workbench and strapped it to the workbench. Put a sandbag over the action, tied a string to it, and had it facing my sand berm, obviously, that I have on my property to fire at. And then I had nowhere for cover, really. But I took some dog food bags that were empty. And in Florida, we got a lot of sand. And I filled these bags with sand. And I got behind them, and they worked perfect. I mean, they're great sandbags. Just don't fill them and then try and move them to where you want to go with it. Because what? You don't want none. I'm telling you. They are heavy once they filled with moist sand. But I had looked on thepracticalmachinist.com, and then they had told me another way as well is to you're going to do pretty much the same thing, only you're going to put it in a tire, sandbag the action, and then tie your string to your trigger and get behind a tree. But I had a bipod on the rifle that I was test firing, so it made it a little bit easier to put it on the bench. I guess a rifle or a tire without a rifle without a bipod would be a little bit better, I reckon. With the bipod though, I just put it on the bench and strapped it to the bench, and did the old stringy wing dingy. But that's pretty much a way to make it safe. A couple ways to make it safe. Otherwise, if you're brave, you can just say a little prayer and put on a face mask and get out there and do it. Just fire it into a log if you got to. Or another way is to get you about 8 to 10 inch pipe, piece of plastic pipe, CPVC, and cut you a log for the end of it, and then fire into it inside of a barrel with some sand. I mean, the sand with barrel, or the barrel with sand is the clearing barrel is pretty much it works. And all you got to do is have a half barrel. You can weld the top back on it if you want to, cut you out a nice little hole to stick your barrel in. But you just want to be able to make sure that you're in the sand, and you got about 16 inches of sand there between that and the bottom of the barrel. And I'm not going to fire a 50 BMG into that, but pretty much everything right up to it I will. And if not, I'll go get me one of those dog food bags and fire it into that, because they worked great. I used those dog food bags for the next month or two before I ate them up, playing around wasting ammunition on them. All right, but that's all I got.